guys, I'm Madison. I was just about to go to sleep. It is 2:45 in the morning, but honestly, for some weird reason, my brain seems to work much better either right before bed or early in the morning, so I think this is the perfect time to shoot this video. Today I'm going to give you guys internet safety tips that I practiced for years. Some of them I wish I would have practiced when I was younger. I think that some of it is very important and overlooked right now. But before we get started, make sure you guys give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more videos from me, and comment down below what age you're... Sorry, I got a text. Let me know, regardless of what age you are, what age you were or are going to be allowed to be able to post on social media, whether it's a private account, public account. Like, let me know the rules and stuff that your family has in the chat. I'm so curious, and let's get right into the video. I started very private on social media. I was kind of traumatized as a kid. Back when I was in elementary school, there was this FBI agent who would come in and speak to us every year. I think I was more like in 5th or 6th grade. They would come in and they would tell us basically if we put our face on the internet or our name on the internet or a picture of our dog on the internet, we would get kidnapped. However, I wouldn't have met some of my best friends I have today who are like family to me, and I wouldn't have such a community had I not said, you know what, let's put ourselves on the internet. In addition to that, the internet is such an important tool to utilize if you're planning on doing anything entrepreneurial, whether it's starting a business or even, honestly, like if you're going into marketing, you're gonna need to know how to post on social media. And honestly, having a personal brand is the most secure thing you can have, because you can get fired from a job like that you've built up a page for, and then that job, if you have a problem with the company or the company doesn't have the same values as you do, whatever the case is of the fallout, if it for some reason rubs the company the wrong way, if they don't see eye to eye with you, you know, they could basically run around and be like, and choose a pain to work with and blah, 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 and suddenly like the one endeavor you've built up on is shot down. I mean, I guess honestly it is risky to do social media. There are risks involved when you're doing it full time. However, I do think it's important that if you're comfortable, pop it on camera, and I can do a whole nother video on that end of it where I can tell you guys the stuff that most people won't tell you about being an entertainer on social media or being an influencer or whatever, because it does come with its trials. Now, this is one of my favorite things to do in the whole world, and I do have a few challenges with it, but I definitely think that those are worth overcoming to pursue all of this. But some people, social media isn't for them and they might not know it yet, and everyone's painting it out to be like, oh, it's the dream job, it's the best thing you can do for yourself, but like there are things involved that aren't the best. So let me know if you guys want to see that video. For starters, one of the things that could really get you when it comes to social media is all of a sudden having an old man who's your dad's age knocking on your door and saying he's in love with you. That didn't happen to me, but it happens to people, and in this video I'm basically telling you guys tips on how to avoid that potentially from happening. So tip number one, the biggest tip that I tell all of my little cousins: never post yourself in your school uniform. Honestly, any shirts that show the ballpark you play at regularly or in your, you know, cheer uniform, whatever the case is, I would highly recommend not posting in your uniforms of any sorts or any like school t-shirts or team t-shirts. Just avoid all of that together. This is for parents too. A lot of parents don't even think about it. It's super easy. All you need are a couple pieces of information, and now with ChatGPT, honestly, I didn't try to do it yet, but I'm sure that it's going to keep evolving to where you can screenshot a uniform, put it into the system, and be like, hey, can you match this? Or okay, for example, my friend had a stalker situation recently where she was a little paranoid that someone was following her, and they had filmed videos in front of the Airbnb they were staying at. And I was like, girl, she was telling me, she's like, I'm worried. I'm like, be very careful with what you post. So I screenshotted her video in front of the house and I put it in ChatGPT, and I said, hey, I know my friend is in Los Angeles right now, which she was posting, she was in LA. And I said, what area is she staying in? And it actually gave me 3 locations, and one of the locations was the neighborhood that they were staying in. So I was like, ooh, yeah, technology's evolving. Going on to tip number 2, do not pose in front of street signs. If you film in front of street signs, then most likely someone will easily be able to find where you shot that video. So I would highly recommend watching street signs, again, like school buildings, bumper stickers. I will say, I don't want to be a hypocrite, I definitely say that I'm from New Orleans, but half my brand is crawfish and stuff, so you kind of gotta weigh out opportunity cost as well. Also, if you're like a level 5 cheerleader and you're, is that the highest it goes? If you're like insanely talented, unfortunately there's not going to be much you can do to really dive badge, hiding your uniform, or hiding, you know, personal information on like where you went to school and this and that, because a lot of times, like, if you sign for a professional team or you sign for a college team, like, they will blast all of your information when they're bragging about you signing, which is really unfortunate. And also, that's just a side note, it's really interesting to me that there's a lot of heat over parents who like film their kids for 2 minutes a day playing with Barbies, but there's like no heat over, and I'm not saying send heat, I think it's pretty much all innocent. People are just trying to figure it out, and there's different ways of parenting. In my opinion, like, I don't have kids, not planning on having kids, at least anytime soon. Maybe I'll adopt kids if I'm like really rich, but birth just seems painful. One thing I've always said was like, I would never sign the school form at the beginning of the year saying you're okay to post my kid all over social media if they're with a school, especially a school with a uniform. I mean, I have a ton of relatives, I'm not judging anyone. My mom probably signed it when I was in school, but it was different at the time, and now that social media is a thing and like it's so easy to find people, like, to know that all people have to do with bad intentions is like pull up a school's platform and then like scroll through pictures and just be fascinated. Like, I'm talking the wrong audience, the wrong people. All they gotta do is like be fascinated with one kid. They know where they go to school, like, that's there. Like, what? I think that's definitely an area where we could see AI being useful, is like AI-ing kids in promotional pictures for schools. I know like there's a personal connection and like a local connection to putting a kid in an ad, but like low-key when it's the school uniform, unless the school has insane safety measures, but even so, it's like still really hard to guarantee that. Also, it puts a lot of pressure on teachers, because teachers literally sign up to like teach and like do the Heimlich if a kid's choking, but they don't sign up. They should, I mean, they kind of are in today's world, but it really should be about them teaching students and keeping them like safe in their day-to-day, like watch around the house, not so much have to worry about being a bodyguard to a stalker that is only there because they took information on social media that was posted. Like, if I am not just giving the advice for your own safety, like, think about the others involved in your life that have guardianship over you, or think about, you know, if you're a parent watching this, like, think about your kids' teachers and the pressures that could entail if, unfortunately, your kid ends up in the wrong people's interest. Oh, that's a lot. Those are the first two, and those are honestly the biggest, because once you get past those, then it becomes a lot like easier. Oh, sorry, I take that back. One more big thing is, if you don't have your last name on social media, take it off now. Or if you blew up and it's too late, like, it is what it is. I would highly recommend going with your middle name or some kind of username instead of posting your first and last name, because literally that is a dead giveaway. Like, it's so easy for people to go to white pages and like go to bin verified. That's another big one. Like, celebrities are even on there, but all you gotta do is put in people's first and last names and like what state they're in, and you can have their personal information. I mean, honestly, these tips are really big. If you have a private account, it's one thing, but if you have a public account, again, which can be really good for branding and opportunity and entrepreneurship down the road, and the earlier you start, the less saturated it is. So I wouldn't say like be too scared of it and not do it, but definitely maybe practice on a private account first. Once you get to the swing of things, do a public account. If you have a public account and it's not blown up yet, I would highly recommend going by your middle name or taking a last name off altogether, just to make sure you have privacy in life with, I mean, if you blow up and your address is out there and you have either fans or haters, then that's really hard to navigate. And then it's a free country. People can literally like sit outside your house and take pictures of you, and it's just, yeah, it can get scary. So again, this is just advice. You literally don't have to follow it, but like, I have friends who've had like bricks thrown through their windows with threats on them. Like, one of them had an old man out for her daughter, and one of the platforms caught it and met him at an airport as he was on the way to her, and he was from a different country. This stuff really does happen, and I have been in enough conversations with really reputable people who, like, if you really think about it, if you blow up on social media, for every 100,000 people, there's gotta be at least 1 to 3 people who are insane, and depending on which ones are insane enough to act on their insanity, that's where it can get scary if they make it in person. The next one is going to be not to announce where you're gonna be, and not to share anything in real time unless you are at an event with really big security. It's a little bit of a traumatic story, so I don't know if kids should really search it up, but I mean, if you're a teenager and you want to search it up, there was this girl named Christina Grimmie, and she is a prime example of how I run my stuff. If I ever do in-person events, it's going to be high security because obviously her story, so tragic but so scary, and it's so easy for someone, like, metal detectors are important nowadays because a big dude standing next to you or standing 20 feet away from you can't always stop a quick bad situation where all of a sudden you're gone because you didn't take security measures. But also, again, like, outside of metal detectors and stuff, like, if you are just posting where you are, there's a good chance that someone with those intentions would show up in that situation over an event with any kind of security. As much live streaming as I've done in my life of just like general entertainment and stuff, I've never done IRL streams because, yeah, it happens. This one chick was at a restaurant and she was streaming in the restaurant. Someone pulled up, waited outside for her to walk out. She had sunglasses on, thank God, but they threw acid at her face. Not every situation where someone finds you is going to be a bad situation. Majority of them probably going to be fangirls and probably going to be fans, but at the end of the day, you're always going to have a hater if you're successful, and if you're really, really successful online and you have a huge audience, you might have a psycho hater or two, so just be very careful. Or someone who's in love with you and is a danger. Tip number 5 is going to be your follows and your tags. Be very careful because I tell my relatives too, I'm like, hey, heads up, you're really good with not posting your school uniform, but just be careful because I see that you're following 40 friends, and because I always like look out devil's advocate, like, you have to kind of think in the minds of psychopaths to prepare for that. And I definitely look out for littles in my life, and like with them starting on social media, like I want to be able to see the ones whose parents are like really cool with them doing social media in the future. Like I want to be able to see them pursue it because, again, the earlier you start, the less saturated it is, the more successful you can be. But I give them the heads up. I'm like, hey, so your friend who you like do dancing with, like, posted in her dance t-shirt with a bunch of y'all's friends in dance t-shirts, like you're in it too, y'all are all in the dance t-shirts, and it shows y'all's dance school. So basically, just be careful because if you have a public account, you're following a bunch of different locals and people with, I mean, if you take your last name off, but you're following, you know, 50 people and 30 of them are your relatives, then that can also give it away. Like, you kind of really have to think in those different angles to kind of create, you can never fully protect yourself, but like, it's like an onion. You have to build up the layers of the onion. Years ago, my brother started, I think when he was in 8th grade. So like 10 years ago, our family actually called White Pages and said, you know, with our line of work, because this platform was on the roll, we were like, can we get out of White Pages? Which used to be a thing where you could find like addresses and stuff. Now there's other ways, but fortunately we've taken measures to where we don't really have to stress too much about it. There are a lot of elements that I can't keep private in New Orleans. I boil crawfish all the time on my TikTok. Like, so many elements I don't have privacy on. So the stuff I do have privacy on, I really like to keep private so that, you know, I don't have my whole personality and life totally exploited. And I know that's not super traditional, but let me tell you, like, it has changed the game totally. But to wrap it up, I will say my biggest tip of advice with all of that is, even if there's 40 people watching you, treat it as though there is a kidnapper who's sitting there waiting for you to drop info on exactly where you are or what your, you know, personal info about you that they can use to track you down. Because honestly, I don't want to like fearmonger you. Again, it's super worth it doing it publicly if you're comfortable with that. If you're going into acting, if you're going to be a singer, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, opening your own businesses, if you're planning on going into marketing, all those fields. Honestly, even one of my acquaintances in the space was an orthodontist, and so you would think orthodontist, like, that's a totally different, right? But he had his own practice, he did social media, he had to open a second practice because he was so successful with it, and he doubled his income. So like, regardless of what industry you're in, social media will always be a factor of sales and marketing and branding, and it's a billboard. So if you can build up your platform, your personal platform, where you have a value that can't be taken away. Now, it can be taken away if you lose your accounts, so you gotta be cross-platforming. If you're gonna do social media, you gotta do it right. There's so many angles of how to do it right too. There's no perfect way of doing it, but like, you can definitely do it wrong, if that makes sense. All in all, again, if you really take that model and say, okay, there's a kidnapper watching me. Okay, well, think about this. If you're on the street with your mom walking down a public street and there's a kidnapper on the street and there's a cop on the street. Okay, you have your mother and the cop. Those are elements there to where even though the kidnapper's on the street, you're comfortable being on the street because you've already like secured the precautions to make sure you're gonna be safe, right? Right. So it's the same with social media. It's like if you line up your ducks to where you don't have to worry about this whole element of not being safe, that is a huge side of all of this that you no longer have to fixate and focus on, and I know of too many friends who do. So again, yeah, if you just treat it like the kidnappers sitting there watching you in your chat of 40 people, of 150 people, of 1,000 people, of 24,000 people, you're gonna be fine, you're gonna be safe, you're gonna be watching everything you do, which at first feels a little like you're paranoid, but you become so used to those practices that it becomes second nature and you don't even bat an eye at doing it anymore, which is really cool. I mean, a lot of my friends also use these same techniques. It's not just me. And the ones who didn't use these techniques, who did kind of connect themselves to some of their followers via DM and, you know, have one-on-one conversations and got themselves in some trouble situations, they're like, okay, now I see why you run it like that. I'm like, yeah. But I do have a number of friends who never gotten into situations, have seen situations happen to friends as well, and we kind of like brain pick with each other to make sure that we're all getting our system down with how we're running our socials. Those are the 5 things. I forgot them already. Sorry guys, it's literally 3:12. I'm really good at rambling, but I do have like kind of short-term memory when I'm rambling at these hours. So I usually have to like write stuff down and like speak out loud. Sometimes I'll turn on a recording thing in the shower and just like think out loud and get all my notes written. Okay, well, I really gotta go. But make sure you guys, if y'all haven't yet, pick up my other socials. They're also in the description. Also, give this video a big thumbs up if you like the little tips and tricks I've given you. I really don't mean to scare anyone, but at the same time, literally like, look at me. Like, I'm not scared with doing social media. This is all second nature stuff to me. I'm just laying them out for you guys. It's if you want to learn them, if you want to learn how to navigate. But yeah, I'm super carefree with social media now because of the precautions I've taken. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos in the future. Let me know which videos you want to see next as well, in addition to possibly like a mental health, how to do social media video. And check out my last video where I teach you guys how to blow up on CoverStar, which is currently the new Musical.ly. I think it's safe to say it. I'm gonna say it. It's the new Musical.ly. And you know what Musical.ly turned into? TikTok. And you know what TikTok is? The biggest app in the world that everyone is trying to get famous on. And like even your locals are posting like their influencers to their 200 followers trying to grow a following because they know how important it is to grow on social media. But guess what? They are on it too late. You know what the best strategy is? Start on the platforms when they're just getting started, and right now that is the case for CoverStar. Mind you though, the demographic over there is literally like all Gen Alpha, so just make sure if you start over there, like super appropriate. I would highly recommend just keeping it all squeaky clean because you don't want to corrupt the brains of the innocent. That is not good, not ethical. Anyways, that's it. Thanks for watching my video. Catch y'all later. Bye!